Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Andy Marsh. He is the CEO of Plug Power. Andy, how you doing today?
Not bad, James. How about yourself?
I am fantastic. I'm really excited to chat with you today, Andy. We're talking offline, and I'm really excited to dive into what we are going to be talking about today. But before we get into it, Andy, can you briefly explain to our listeners, just so they understand a little bit of context, what is Plug Power and what are you and your team up to over there?
Sure. So let me just take a step back to tell people what our core technology is, okay. And then we'll move into how we think about the market.
Got it.
Plug Power is the leader in the development of fuel cells and hydrogen infrastructure. And it's geared towards the electric vehicle market. And the first electric vehicle that Plug Power has offered products to is actually fuel cells that go into forklift trucks at large distribution centers and manufacturing facilities for customers like Walmart and Mercedes-Benz. And our products actually help them move their goods faster and more efficiently. And that's why people buy today. And that was our first market. We built the hydrogen fueling systems, which we do more hydrogen fueling in the United States than everyone else combined.
Wow.
But, the real vision of the business is that, moving into electric delivery vehicles, I'm looking outside my window now and I can see a FedEx truck, which is being modified with a fuel cell to run on the road, as well as electric vehicles for, drones and buses and any electric airplanes. Anything with electric, Plug Power makes a great deal of sense. So think about the world. There's this huge trend to electrification of vehicles because of cost, reliability, performance, to support things like autonomy and asset ownership, which are huge issues. And Plug is right in the middle of all of it.
I love it. Andy, so with listeners kind of understanding a little bit about the business, I'd love to spend the rest of our conversation talking about, how have you marketed this particular innovative technology? And then also I believe this is your fourth go round in the technology space and leading teams in this space. And so as we were talking offline, we're talking through kind of what the keys to marketing and innovative technology. And you said the first piece was creating awareness. And you had a couple examples. Can you talk to us about, what does it look like to create awareness in the early stages of your product?
So here I'm going to talk, James, about a company that I started over 17 years ago called Valeer Power, that today, for most broadband applications in the United States, it actually provides power. I would guess most likely many of your listeners, the buildings they're in today, are actually their communication systems being powered by what was a Valeer Power system, and we sold that with a nice exit for everyone. But, we were developing a product that was half the size as competing products, dissipated a great deal less heat, for the time had quite advanced remote monitoring capabilities. And, this was an idea. And I can say that myself and our sales folks, before we even had a product, went around to really create advocacies within our potential customer base, and mostly focusing on large customers who could make a difference. And that space at the time was people like Southwestern Bell or Cox Communication or Verizon. and having them become advocates, and as well as OEMs like Alcatel. We were actually able to leverage the technology, I would say, proselytizing to interest Alcatel to become an investor in the company, actually, at that time. And, having customers buy into the technology, actually before you even introduced it, was really our first marketing effort. And I can remember about 2 years into the company, that effort gave us a door opening to really get people to look at the product, because it actually established ownership with the customers. I can remember being at the first trade show with the business, and how many of these folks I went up to talk to early in our business development cycle who actually took ownership for the product. They would say to me, we designed this product, but not just Valier Power designed it.
Yeah.
That ownership by the customer led to the fact that we were at a trade show, the largest for communication in North America, and we were actually in 24 customer booths where they were showing our technology off as part of their offering. And that's only 2 years in the company. And my favorite picture was on the front page of the Atlanta Constitution for the trade show. They showed a Fujitsu booth, and there were about 15 boxes of Valier Power products on the front page, and a Fujitsu person installing our system into their system.
Wow.
And that cool.
It makes so much sense to get buy-in from your early customers, take advantage of the situation that you're in by being able to really allow those customers to shape your product, be it the actual design of the product or how it's implemented, because they're your early partners. And so by giving them that ownership, it makes total sense that they're more bought in, that they're more willing to be your advocates. And so this next piece that I want to talk to you about, Andy, is really around that kind of customer advocacy, and you've got some stories for how you guys have done this at your new company now, Plug Power. Can you talk to us about customer advocacy and what it has practically looked like for you guys?
So Plug was even more challenging than Valier, because no one ever really used fuel cells in forklift trucks. It was a completely new concept. And so what was critical of Plug was not only to have that customer buy-in, but to provide customers that feel the product, to be able to test and be willing to put programs in place that allow them to try the unit before they actually purchase. So we aligned not only the marketing strategy had a great deal to do with, there were about 30 customers in North America where we looked at the value proposition. Our value proposition essentially based around, we can make you more efficient. And that value proposition, played best with large customers like Walmarts and BMWs and Kroger's and household names that run manufacturing distribution centers that move a lot of goods. And, we were focused from a marketing point of view, how to reach those 30 customers. And we recognized, like most activities, you kind of have to talk to customers. And we figured out that the best way to do that was to really first get them to try it at a small sample to show the value proposition made sense. And we aligned that activity not only within the marketing department, but in the sales department, where we really provide incentives to the sales team to open up those accounts and get those discussions going and provide them incentives to do that. And because early on, when you're introducing something that's completely new, people need to try and feel it. Yeah. It's not like a mass consumer product when you're selling an industrial product. So, we eventually, Walmart was a key customer. We actually, the first time we did trial was with 10 units. We moved them to 63 units, and eventually today they have well over 3,000 units in the field.
Wow.
But those initial customers like Walmart and BMW, at the beginning, you're providing the thought leadership about what could be in the material handling industry and how you could move your goods. Where we wanted to move the business to was to make Walmart, BMW, and others the advocates for the business. People like BMW, which operate their entire manufacturing facility in Spartanburg, South Carolina, And as you know, there aren't too many car makers who make its cars high quality as BMW. And they've been willing to put their fuel cells, our fuel cells, into every one of their forklift trucks in that facility. And they have opened the doors to customers. They have done videos. They have promoted it in South Carolina. I can remember chuckling and saying the video that BMW put together to promote their fuel cell activity exceeded our complete marketing budget here. So it's kind of how you go about creating those customer advocates who can leverage their broad strength and their broad reach to reach your customers. Another example is Doug McMillan at Walmart at their sustainability conference spent about 10 minutes talking to their entire supplier base about Walmart's commitment to sustainability and using our fuel cell as an example of efforts they're making to reach your sustainability goals.
Wow.
So to have people of that nature and create that free publicity for you based on the small investments you make up front in demonstrating your units has really made, I think, a significant difference for this business.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. You alluded earlier, Andy, to kind of incentivizing your team differently based on kind of the stage that the potential buyer is in. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I actually did this both at Plug and Balloon. It's how do you incentivize a sales force when you have zero revenue? And one would think initially the best way to do that is, commission those sales. And I think a more appropriate way often is in those first few years, what you want to do is put in place incentives that create customer awareness, incentives that create a path to the first order, and to provide, for example, here at Plug, and we actually did this in Europe because we've been developing Europe over the last few years. Our first demonstration at Carrefour, which was small, which actually cost the company money. The salesperson actually received a sales incentive to move that program forward because he wasn't going to get an order overnight from Carrefour. But, over a 15 to 18 month period, we went to the salesman providing an introduction, which we provide him a small incentive to do that, to a larger incentive for the first demonstration, and he received the first order for the Carrefour distribution center, and he got a much larger bonus in that than he will for future orders because he was able to create a customer relationship over an 18-month period and was really incentivized during each normal step in the sales process to move it along. It keeps him motivated, and it keeps his eyes on the ball that instead of thinking I just have to rush to get an order to receive an incentive, I have to walk through the sales process logically, and the company will provide me the appropriate incentives during that process.
Andy, this has been fantastic. If there's somebody listening and they want to connect with you on maybe a particular element of what we've talked about today, what's the best way for them to contact you? And then what's the best way for them to learn more about Plug Power?
Sure. So first, you can follow Plug Power on Twitter at Plug Power Inc. We also have our own Facebook page at Plug Power and a LinkedIn page to Plug Power, as well as our website at plugpower.com.
Wonderful. Awesome, Andy. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been great, and I know it's going to provide a ton of value to the folks listening. So I really appreciate your time today.
Great. Pleasure talking to you, James.
If you've been getting value from this podcast, you can help us reach more people by reviewing the show on iTunes. Here's how you can leave a review in less than a minute. Open your podcast app and tap the search icon in the bottom right corner. Type in B2B Growth, then select our show. Once you're there, tap the Reviews tab and tell us what you think of the show. These reviews help us out a ton.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.